Just a quick hint that might help you with your exploration before you watch the rest of this movie, so you can watch this introduction and then you can pause it. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but we don't need that. Maybe we do. So these are the labels of the points. So this looks really, really complicated, which is why it's hidden. And it's using a mathematical formula to create the rotation. But if you just click on this triangle for the new figure and you click on labels, it will show you the labels of all those points. And if you go to original and click on the labels, it will show you the labels of all of those points. And we're at a rotation of 90, so that would be clockwise. Just if you're connecting up the points and you're looking, this one here, if I call this A, it goes to A primed. It's the one that makes the most sense because the numbers are the same. We have, a -2 and a 5, and here we have a 5 and a +2. And what we're doing is rotating around in this direction, and there's how you would get your 90-degree angle that's clockwise. And if I look at this one, so I'm going to delete that, and now look at -7, 8, and it would make sense that it goes with the 8, 7. And I'm going to make this a little bit more clear. If I connect up this point and connect it up to the corresponding point, you can see there is our 90-degree angle, and it's a clockwise rotation. So if you're looking at the patterns here, so now I'm about to start giving some answers. Here, if the coordinates, let's call them A and B, just so that we're not going to confuse things with X and Y and so on. And this point corresponds to this point. And you look at what you have, it seems like what the pattern is doing is that we switch them. So we switch things around. If this was AB, it becomes BA. And we change the sign of this one. So what's happening is whatever this one happens to be, we switch them around and change the sign. So let's see if that works for this one. My prediction would be that we switch things around. So we go from 3 to -7, but then the minus here in math is basically saying change the sign of this number here. So we change the sign and it should be at 3, 7, and that actually works. And this one here, we'd say change the order first, so from AB to BA, so it's 5, -2, and then my rule says change the sign of the second one and we get 5, +2. Now, if that's working for you, great. But what you want to do now is convince yourself that that actually does work by trying it in a different quadrant. So let what happens if I move the original triangle over to here, and we'd say, well, does my pattern work? So if I look at this, I'm starting with -3, 6, and my pattern says switch the order. So it'd be -6, -3. And then what I'm supposed to do is change the sign of the second one, and -6, +3, and that's absolutely what we get here. If I look at -9, -2, and my pattern would say switch the order, and then change the sign of the second one, so -2, +9, and that's exactly what we have. So that works for a 90-degree rotation, and I would encourage you to look at that for 180 degrees, and for 270 degrees and so on, and look at the patterns that you would get there. So let's try 180-degree rotation. So I'm going to move this slider here to 180 degrees, and we'll look again at which numbers seem to be the most reasonable to connect with each other. So certainly the -3, -6, and the 3, -6, so those seem to go with each other. And remember, the red is the image, and here's our 180-degree angle. We'd connect those up with a line. So it would make sense that this one goes with this one, and there's our 180-degree clockwise angle. So what this one seems to be really easy, that it's 3, 6, and it's -3, 6. This was the original, and this is the image. So -9, -6, +9, +6. -9, -2, +9, +2. And so what it seems like what we have is if this is our original, we just change it to the opposite. So this doesn't mean that it's negative. This is an indication that we take it could be negative, but it's the opposite of what the original number was equal to. So if I delete that, and what you want to try to do is put this original in a different place and see if the pattern works. So if I go to this, and I can hide the new figure. So let's see if we can figure out where the new one will be located. So if it's negative 9, 5, my pattern seems to say that I'm going to change this to positive 9 and negative 5. So the same numbers, but we just change the sign to the opposite. I have negative 4 and negative 4 and 1 should go to the numbers will be the same, but we change the sign. So if that's negative, it becomes positive. If that's positive, it becomes negative. And then finally, I have negative 10 and positive 1. It's going to be 10 and 1. If this is negative, it becomes positive. If this is positive, it becomes negative. And so if I now go back to my program and I click on this to show the new figure and I check the points, so 4, negative 1, 9, negative 5, and 10, negative 1, and that it absolutely works. And then you could try, drag it wherever you want to confirm this. There's no reason that you can't be 100% convinced that this works. So 4, 7 should go to negative 4, negative 7. It does. 2, 3 should go to negative 2, negative 3, and it does. And 7, 3 should go to negative 7, negative 3, and it does. And the beauty about this is 180 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise gets us to the same place. So that's we only need to think about one of those, because of whether I need 180. Whether we go clockwise or counterclockwise, we get the image to exactly the same place. So we'll finish off here. Let's look at a 270 degree rotation. And what you can see with this is that a 270 degree rotation, and now 270 degrees means we're rotating all the way around. Now this is a counterclockwise rotation. And if we're trying to figure out which point goes with which one, it's logically the 2 and the 3 and the 3 and the negative 2, those seem like they would be good candidates. So 270 degrees is rotating all the way around this way. So that's 270 degrees, and that's counterclockwise. But notice that we get exactly the same answer as going 90 degrees clockwise. So these are related to each other. So if I go back to here and I go 90 degrees clockwise, you should see that the image ends up in exactly the same place. So we don't need to end up creating a whole new set of patterns and rules and so on that we already know where this is going to end up for us. So I encourage you to experiment with that, look at the coordinates, and I'm going to provide a summary of this in the lesson.